Cliff Kingsbury, Cardinals head coach, had some praise for his rookie quarterback in 2019, Kyler Murray, heading into year number 2. Said Kingsbury of Murray via the Arizona Republic, you're 22 years old, first year in the league, and trying to hold on to your ass. We've said it and we've typed it. Hold on to your ass. It's hard to lead grown men. You're trying just to survive. He's on his own and finding his way as a human being and trying to navigate it, being the face of the franchise. You've got to kind of understand where he's at. These things just take time. So, now that Kyler Murray has experience of a full season of holding his own ass, along with other rookie quarterbacks who played a decent amount last year, let's look at how they did, and then let's look at what we expect them to do, Chris, in 2020. The 5 guys that are worth mentioning, there are other rookies who played some, but the big 5 going into 2020, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones of the Giants, Dwayne Haskins in Washington, although they have yet to anoint him the starter this year, Gardner Minshew II, who will be competing with Nick Foles in Jacksonville, and Drew Lock, who clearly established himself as the future of the Broncos in the final 5 games of the season once he was healthy enough to play. Let's just who stood out the most to you other than Murray? Murray obviously was the best of the bunch, right?
Yes.
Other than him, who stood out?
Well, I'm raved about Daniel Jones and what I saw during the year. I just was, taken back by the play from the get-go. Not only the preseason, but then when he took over for Eli Manning and went out in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game on a Sunday afternoon and, threw 4 touchdowns in his first start ever, something like that. But good athlete, tough in the pocket, can push the ball down the field and make big throws there. Obviously smart. So to me, he jumped out and had a great year in a lot of ways. The other guy that I really look at and just go, ooh, watch out for a little bit is Drew Lock. I think you and I both saw enough there at the end of the year with us watching games on Sunday here at NBC where we went, ooh, this kid's got something. He's got a little moxie. He's an athlete. He's a gunslinger. I mean, looks like he knows how to play. So I think those 3 excite me maybe more than the rest. Not to say I don't like the rest, but they just excite me the most.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers for Daniel Jones, closely similar to Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
The exact same number of passing yards per game at 232. 24 touchdown passes for Jones, 20 for Murray. They both had 12 interceptions. Murray had 34 rushing yards per game, and Jones had 21 and a half.
Which isn't bad.
However,
yeah,
Jones fumbled 18 times, losing 6 of them, which has got to be a concern moving into 2020.
Biggest issue with Daniel Jones. You hit it, right? Exactly right. I mean, one, just not always having great feel of what the chaos is around him in the pocket, which is a good and a bad thing, Mike. He's really fearless in the pocket, which is a strength, but it also becomes a negative there too because he's so fearless at times. People are around him and swiping at him, and he just doesn't even realize they're there. Like, this is a great shot. I mean, Jamal Adams, the pocket's collapsing. He's so focused and fearless in the pocket and focused down the field that he doesn't feel people around him. Now this one here, you see, Khalil Mack around the backside. That's nothing you can do there. But those are things that, to me, yes, he has mistakes, not positives, but easily fixed. Not things that I'm concerned about to go, oh no, Daniel Jones has a fumbling problem. I don't know if he'll correct it. I think these are things you can drill, and him just playing and the experience he got will help him a lot in these situations.
I think Gardner Minshew has a very good chance to be the Week 1 starter in Jacksonville in what appears to be an open competition with Nick Foles. And I think Nick Foles is the right kind of guy to be the backup, even though he's making $22 million a year. He's not going to complain. He'll support Gardner Minshew, help him every way he can. And Minshew played 14 games, started 12. He had 233 passing yards per game, 21 touchdowns, 6 picks. He had a better passing performance last year than Murray or Jones, and we just kind of forget about the Jaguars and the whole Gardner Minshew mania thing died down, especially when Foles played again. But I think Minshew's got enough there to make us think that they may be onto something, and this is kind of the star that Jacksonville needs. We saw him at the Super Bowl 3 weeks ago. He seems like a great guy.
Got a great way about him, right?
Yeah, this could be exactly what they need to keep that stadium full, especially with the fans down there salty that they're going to be playing 2 of their home games in London this year.
Well, yes, but I'm with you in the fact of I like what I see with Gardner Minshew. I do. I mean, he's got every bit as much or more physical ability than Nick Foles to make plays and do that. And I think you're right. It's lining up for him to be the starter. I think the interesting thing there about Gardner Minshew, I don't sit there yet and go, oh, he's as talented as Kyler Murray or Daniel Jones, right? I don't do that. But I do think he's talented. The thing I really look at is I think he's in the best situation to succeed in a lot of ways. I mean, it's a pretty good offensive line. They got a good running back. They got quiet, under-the-radar, very good weapons at receiver with DJ Shark and Dede Westbrook and a few other guys there that are good and talented. So he has a chance to build on something for sure. The thing I ask with you, Mike, we know Kyler Murray. I mean, to me, Kyler Murray was the best one, right? He's the one I think we look at to go, he has the highest ceiling, right? I mean, do you believe that? He's the guy that I look at that could be the biggest superstar of the group. Are you there with that?
Absolutely. And here's the thing that stunned me. He was the rookie of the year offensively. And people were upset, it should have been Josh Jacobs. It should have been this guy. No, Kyler Murray was, under the circumstances, with a bad team in the toughest division in football.
That's what I wanted to say, too, right.
He was spectacular.
Yes.
And at one point during the season, I said, hey, look, we've seen how it's played out. 2018, year 2, Patrick Mahomes takes the NFL by storm. 2019, year 2, Lamar Jackson takes the NFL by storm. Get ready for 2020. Kyler Murray, year 2, taking the NFL by storm. He's got a ton more experience than either of those guys had in their rookie years.
Yes, and he's in an offense he's comfortable in. So that's the other advantage he has. He's not still filtering through the nuances of the offense going, all right, hopefully I'll know and be able to digest this whole thing by year 2. He's already there, which helped, catapult him into a great leadership position like we saw with Cliff Kingsbury in the quote you read as we came on for this segment. Those things lined up, and, Kyler Murray was allowed to be that guy because he had comfort within the offense, so he could direct people around and do those things. All right, so we say he's got the highest ceiling. Here's the other question to me. Did he do the most with less too, right? Or do the most with the least? Who did the most with the least to me? I mean, Daniel Jones, I think, is in that conversation as well because Saquon was hurt. There was no Odell. Sterling Shepard had some banged-up moments, right? Golden State. So I think it's a good conversation there. But I still think Kyler Murray probably did the most with the least amount of help around him, too. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
Well, but let me expand that a bit and say that Kyler Murray did the most given his circumstances because maybe Daniel Jones had less help, but he was in the worst division in football.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray was in the best division in football. He had to go against the Seahawks twice. He beat the Seahawks in Seattle, for crying out loud. That's a pelt that you can put on the wall that none of these other guys can claim. Right? This is an elite playoff team that was nearly the NFC West champion, 2 inches away from winning the division. And one of the reasons they're not and weren't the NFC West champion is a week before that, Kyler Murray went up there and beat them in their own building.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's something that can catapult a team, give them confidence going into year 2. All that. That is a big win. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, yeah, you could argue that Daniel Jones might have had less talent around him at certain points during the year and all that. You're right. But Kyler Murray's schedule and the division he had to deal with was certainly tougher that way. Definitely. Now, the big thing here, I'll ask you why we're just continuing to go down this. Who makes the biggest jump in year 2 out of these group of guys we're talking about? Because we haven't talked about Dwayne Haskins, who we saw some really positive things there towards the end before he hurt his ankle. We were starting to go, ooh, man, Dwayne's starting to throw this ball around everywhere and starting to look good, a little more athletic than I think we all gave him credit for coming out in the draft and those things. Who do you think makes the biggest jump in year 2?
I'm having a hard time reading Ron Rivera's comments about Dwayne Haskins. Is Ron Rivera ambivalent about Haskins, or is he trying to keep Haskins from becoming complacent and feeling like he just has to show up and he'll be the starter? No, you have to push. You have to work. You have to do everything that the best quarterbacks do every single day to make themselves the best and to keep themselves at that level. Whether it's Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, the best of the best are working all the time, and I think they want to encourage Haskins to adopt that same kind of 365-day-a-year ethic.
Right.
Now, I think Drew Lock fascinates me the most because we saw him the least relative to these other quarterbacks. But what we saw of him was great. And Chris, he lived up to your billing as one of the guys who should have been a first-round pick. You know, he just, you know, he exudes that he's having a good time.
He does, exactly right. What'd you call him, Beaver Cleaver, before the draft? Or
he looked like Beaver Cleaver, and then he was Buzz Lightyear. He does the Buzz Lightyear celebration when he scores. But one of the things I remember about listening to John Madden call games, he always had an affinity to the guys who looked like they were having fun while they played. And there's still that element to it that I think is very endearing to fans. And I think it just shows a confidence, a looseness.
That's what it is,
enjoy
Mike.
the game.
Yeah.
He loves the game.
Right.
He loves the game, and the game wasn't too big for him.
Right.
And I remember talking to him after one of their wins. The game's already slowed down. He feels like he belongs. And I'm excited to see what he can do if he's healthy week one and he's the Broncos guy. What can he do for that team heading into his second year as a starter? I still think there's a chance Kyler Murray is going to be that guy who takes the league by storm.
Right.
But he's starting on a higher platform. Maybe Drew Lock makes the biggest jump.
Yeah, I think I would err on that as well. I do. I think if you made me pick the biggest jump, it would be Drew Lock. I'm with you there, Mike. I mean, first off, hey, I like that Pat Shurmur's going out there. I like Pat Shurmur, the offensive coordinator. I do. They still got Mike Munchak as an offensive line coach. I think he'll continue to get that unit better. We know they got Phillip Lindsay. The big thing, too, is you're right. We saw Drew Lock. We saw talent. We saw composure, charisma. I mean, hey, come on. He went down into Houston and just absolutely obliterated Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. Blew them out in the first half. Like, the game was over. See ya. Done. And then they had the guys like Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant, who came on the scene at the end of the year. It's like, oh, watch out. This guy's going to be a superstar tight end. I'm with you. I think Drew Lock has a chance. And to your point, too, he does look like he's having fun. And you're right. Madden always used to talk about that. And who do we usually the guys that we talk about having fun are who? It's Lawrence Taylor. Oh, it's Deion Sanders. Oh, it's Brett Favre and Patrick Mahomes. Super talented guys who have great confidence, right? And they don't have to overthink things or earn in their own brains, talking to themselves because they're scared as hell of the moment and everything like that. And I think that, I look at like Kyler Murray and Drew Lock, and they have that way about them very much where they seem unfazed by any situation and seem like, hey, this is just like playing in the backyard when I was a kid. It's no different. I feel like they have the same attitude either way.
Every game, every drive, every snap is a validation that they belong, that they're good enough, and this is going to be their career. And I think that's where that joy comes from. Drew Lock knows that the NFL is not too big for him and that he's good enough to thrive at that level.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.